We are right across from the Old Mill Trailhead, across from Lee Canyon Road here, and we're going to go to McFarland Peak today. So this is a peak that I have attempted before. It's a long trek, and what we're going to do is go up the trail that's the approach to South Sister, and then find a ridge that's going to take us over to the Bonanza Trail. And we've got Greg and John, and by the way, it is John's last hike here before he moves back east. So John, where are you moving?
I am moving to Virginia.
Okay, Virginia. And so we're going to hear about exciting trails in the Virginia area. And tell us a little bit about what we're doing today, John.
Well, Greg and I have done the hike before, but we did it from Upper Bristlecone Trail to the Bonanza. Now, I was looking on, I saw an overlay of the Lower Bristlecone that shows it goes way out and then all the way back and then up. So maybe we're actually cutting some distance off by taking the approach route to South Sister and then cutting off to Bonanza Trail.
I agree with that. I've been looking at that approach ridge, and it does look more direct. Okay, Greg, any great comments today?
Words of wisdom. Okay, no, it's a long one. I'm glad it feels cool at the start. This twice we've been here recently, and it's been so hot in Las Vegas, and it's quite cool here in the morning. Real
Okay,
nice.
It is actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I learned something today that here I thought John was our leader, but Greg just told me that he taught John everything he knows about hiking and climbing. So he's been leading from behind very quietly.
Yeah, big asterisk next to that one.
Okay, let's get started. Okay, just a quick note. Here is the picnic area, Old Mill picnic area, and straight ahead through the trees is the main road in the picnic area. And this is the trail connection you want to go to South Sister. See this this trail that's bordered by rocks. Whoever did this did a lot of work. Anyway, this will get you up to South Sister, and it will also get you up to that exchange that we're looking for, that ridge that's going to take us up to the Upper Bonanza Trail. Yeah, you could actually take the Lower Bristlecone Trail, hit the Bonanza Trail, but as I said, the Lower Bristlecone is closed, and even if it were open, I think this is a more direct route if you want to get to McFarland Peak. So there you have it. Let's continue. Okay, here's the next exchange. This is where the trail we are on, and I'd like to try continuing on this at some point to see where it goes. Never have. But this is where we split off to the South Sister Trail, which we are on right now. So it's important to recognize this spot. Maybe that tree stump where John and Greg are standing is a good indicator that this is the place. And so just to get an idea where we are. So beautiful up here. That's looking down the trail that we started on. Okay, this trail has followed on the right side of this wash, and Here's a point where it crosses over. It may cross over the wash a couple times, we don't know, but eventually it's going to ascend to the top of the ridge on the other side of the wash. So just to be aware what we're looking at. You don't want to go up this ridge, especially if you're going to McFarland. I guess you could take this and end up at South Peak, but wow, that would be a steep climb. So yeah, if you're going to South Peak or McFarland, stay on this trail. Okay, this is the point where we cross the wash, or what remains of it, and then we continue on up. But now now the incline has been pretty healthy up to this point, but it's about to get even steeper as the trail crosses the wash and heads up to that ridge you see on the horizon. So here we go. Well, if you ever thought of hating switchbacks and thought of just skipping the switchbacks and going straight uphill, this is your trail. Here's the one switchback on the whole trail. The rest has been straight up. But as John says on the way back, it's going to be straight down. So we keep thinking of that. And it looks like, as you see the horizon up ahead, that is hopefully the summit of the ridge. And then we begin to ascend another steep ridge, this time with no trail. Okay, I'm going to refer to this last incline as South Sister's Revenge. But there you see John and Greg up at a nice summit point. And this is actually, when you top this ridge, this is when you get another ridge. This next ridge over here, it's going to continue the fun uphill, only with no trail. And that will connect with the Bonanza Trail. And as long as we're looking around here, there through the trees, we'll get a better look at it in a bit, is McFarland Peak. That's our goal. And here's the place where we got to the top of that last rise. And this is the ridge we want to ascend. And believe it or not, there is actually a trail here. I always thought that this ridge should have a trail, and guess what? Here it is. So this is going to connect with the Bonanza Trail. Let's see how long this little trail lasts. Yeah, and as we look around, there is a better shot of McFarland. It looks like this ridge is shorter, at least it appears from this point, that it might be shorter than we thought at first. We'll hit the Bonanza Trail sooner, but we'll see. And here on what turns out to be a really nice little trail is a better perspective of our surroundings. Charleston Peak, Mummy Mountain, South Sister, And then you can see the saddle dip that leads over to North Sister. And a better shot of McFarland Peak. So yeah, this little ridge is very, very nice so far. And I would prefer this to the Bristlecone and Bonanza Trail approach. Okay, there is a little downhill on this ridge. And the trail disappears, sort of. It's very faint. But look up at the ridge ahead on the horizon, and that is the ridge of the Bonanza Trail. Once we get up on that ridge, we take a right and head over to McFarland. So yeah, as I said, this ridge does have some descent, yes, but it's not horribly bad. It's just a little dip, and then we resume the uphill. We don't know what the terrain's going to look like up ahead now that we've pretty much seen the end of this little trail. I imagine that the terrain is going to get a little more rocky. Be some surprises up ahead. Okay, the big question is, where will this connect with the Bonanza Trail, which is directly above us on this ridge? And I always like to make a guess, so I'm going to guess it's a little camping area on the Bonanza Trail. So we'll see if that bears out. But wow, we haven't gotten very far on this ridge, and already we're just about to connect with the Bonanza Trail ahead. So yeah, this is my new favorite way to get to McFarland Peak. Okay, and we are already seeing the final approach, to at least to the Bonanza Trail connection. And wow, this is like shorter than if you took the Bristlecone Bonanza approach to McFarland, and it's shorter if you took the Cold Creek Bonanza Peak approach. I think this is the most direct approach to McFarland Peak that I've seen. And as you can see, the little trail that had momentarily disappeared has reappeared. And I'm thinking that this is going to connect at the campground on the Bonanza Trail, but we'll see. Now we're going through a beautiful bristlecone pine forested area. We're about 9,500 feet. Bristlecone pines start around 9,000. But yeah, this has been a really nice ridge and trail, and it is so beautiful. There's a shot of Max Peak. Can't see it really well from here. We'll get better pictures. But let's continue up. We must be very close to the Bonanza Trail. Okay, we must be getting very close to the Bonanza Trail. We'll call this little trail we've been on the Bonanza Trail Connector. So here we are, and here is the Bonanza Trail. So no, it wasn't the picnic area where the connection was. We were a little further from the picnic area, I think. I think that picnic area is ahead, not sure, but we'll find out. And there's a good shot of McFarland Peak. So yeah, this is a really direct, I think this is the most direct trail to McFarland that you can find.
It's much more direct, I think.
Much more direct.
Skipped the whole entire bristlecone and all of that where the bristlecones connect to Bonanza. We skipped all that going up and then all the way to here. I mean,
if there is a drawback, the only drawback I can think of is it's straight up with very little downhill, but it does get you there faster. And by the way, if you are heading back down, this might be a nice way to go. So you see the Bonanza Trail here, and you just head up over this little ridge. And I guess, yeah, what's a good marker? Well, there is actually a little cairn. So yeah, watch for that cairn. That's where this Bonanza cutoff trail is what I'll call it. That's where it begins. And then you just head down, and soon you'll be on the Sisters Trail. It's actually a short ridge compared to what it looked like from above. So yeah, one of my new favorite trails right here. So let's go to the Bonanza Trail and continue heading toward McFarland. Here we are now on the Bonanza Trail. But just wanted to point out a few reference points here. There's Max Peak. Max Canyon below. See if we can get a better shot. Yeah, there you can see more of the approach to Max Peak. There's that ridge we were on not long ago. Main approach ridge. And then over in this direction, you can see the South Sister on the right. Then there's the North Sister, that pointed peak. And then just below that to the left is Black Rock Sister. There's Black Rock Sister, North Sister, and South Sister from this perspective. So we continue on. Beautiful shot of McFarland Peak as we round the corner here. And this part of the Bonanza Trail is just amazing. Pristine. It's a little hazy today. There must be a fire in California. But at the same time, it's still very, very beautiful. And on a clear day, wow, this just glistens. And there's a shot of Charleston. Charleston Peak and Lee Peak. and incredible views of McFarland Peak as the trail winds around. There is a dip here, so you've got a downhill, which means uphill on the way back, but it's still the way that we came. Is still the most direct way to McFarland Peak. And rounding a corner, yeah, there's a nice view of McFarland. And what we're going to do is go around the left side there, that high point that you see, and find a gully that we can use to ascend up toward the summit. And it's a gully I've been in before. I just did the very beginning of that gully a few years back. So this will be the time, hopefully, when actually complete that gully and hit the summit. Yeah, take a look at this as McFarland emerges around this corner. Just so beautiful. And who knows what the difficulty factor is here. But we will be on the other side. This side looks very imposing. The other side may be an easier climb. We'll see. Another shot of McFarland as we continue on. And we should be entering a stretch where there are some beautiful limestone pillars. I'll catch those when we pass through. And now I believe we're approaching the area with the beautiful limestone pillars, and here's one directly ahead. So we'll continue. I think, yeah, here's another one. So beautiful. Yeah, this is a great photo op spot. Yeah, look at these. Wow. And what a great photographic object in the foreground as you look at Charleston Peak, which happens to be in the clouds. You can see Charleston Peak and Lee Peak. It's shaded a little bit by the clouds, but yeah, great shots. Yeah, just look at these. Yeah, it doesn't get better than this. And again, limestone from an ancient ocean floor. And I guess if we looked really close at some of these formations and the stones that we see around us, we might see some fossils, sea fossils actually. And you'll notice some of the limestone is white, some is gray. The white is calcification from water running over the limestone. And being an ancient sea bottom, the limestone still contains calcium, also contains magnesium. And so when the water runs over it, those elements are to some extent released, changing the color of the limestone. Okay, we go around the left side of that pillar ahead and then on up the approach gully to McFarland Peak. Okay, this rock up ahead is the marker for the gully, which means that the gully is going to ascend this side of that cliff formation and just right along the base and straight up. Okay, onward. And here's the start of the approach gully. And if, on the other hand, you wanted to continue on to Bonanza Peak, which we've done before, got an adventure on LasVegasAreaTrails.com, Bonanza Peak from Lee Canyon. Yeah, you'd head down the trail here and go down about, I don't know, a few hundred feet, and then up a little bit, and then down about 1,200 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet, the big dip, and then on up to Bonanza Peak. So yeah, you've got a huge descent and reascent if you want to go to Bonanza Peak from here. On the other hand, this is a great approach for McFarland Peak. So here from the beginning of the McFarland Gully, there's a shot of Pahrump in the haze. I hope you can see better than I can with the glare on the screen in the haze, but that's Pahrump down there. And then in the meantime, let's see, this is the way we just came, the Bonanza Trail. And this here is the approach gully for McFarland Peak. That's the next stretch. Okay, we just came along this area, not too far from the beginning of that trail where last took the video clip. And there's a little descent here. Down, and where John is, you take a right and you're heading up this gully here. We'll see it better from the bottom, but yeah, looks like we're in steep uphill territory from this point. The real ascent begins, the ascent gully to McFarland Peak. Okay, and here is the beginning of the ascent gully. And looking back, there's where I was just standing when I took that last video. So you see it's just right down to this point, and then you begin heading up the gully. Watch for cairns. Looks like there are multiple choices up this gully, but you'll find the one that works best for you. Yes, this is steep, but not as steep as the north side of North Sister or even the approach to Mummy's Toe. I mean, Mummy's Nose. It's just these huge rocks just make it look really rough. And you can see where they're taking a right to avoid some class 3 climbing. We'll see how that works. Okay, I better get going. Okay, we just came up this, and you can see that there are cairns.
I just put that one.
Oh, you did? Oh, John put it there. Okay.
I think I was repairing an old one, but I'm not sure.
Don't. So the moral of that little story is don't trust the cairns. They may be very temporary. Anyway, yeah, just weave your way around the right, the left side of this gully. Find wherever you see a cairn or the path of least resistance. The cairns may be misleading actually in some spots, but yeah, continue to weave your way upward. And you see Greg and John continuing. They just crossed over from the right to the left side of the gully. It's just one monster gully. And you think of, when did these boulders fall? And look at this tree. You can see that tree has been trying to ward off this boulder above it and actually widened right where the boulder contacted the tree. Maybe the tree was there after the boulder, we hope. I think the boulder would have taken the tree out. Okay, onward. Yes, this is a monster gully. Huge boulders. But if you know where the steps are, it's really not that bad. It's just if you look at the whole thing, or if you dare to turn around and look down the way you came. Yeah, looking really steep down in that direction, but we just came up through that. So, and if you look at the height of the cliffs on either side, yeah, that adds to the majestic scariness of this gully. But as long as you stay in the gully, it's actually not that difficult. Just don't look too far ahead or to the sides or back down. It'll be easier. Okay, we just covered this part, and there is actually a trail of sorts. There are cairns, and there's also a little trail that weaves around and up this gully. This is the next stretch. Yeah, it's a trail, even though it's very steep, but still unexpected to find a trail up here. The big question, when will it all end? Okay, here's the next stretch. It looks like we're heading left and winding around this huge rock formation. Maybe find a gully continuing or something a little more challenging than a gully. We don't know. And I see John standing there looking up, which is usually the sign that he's looking at some class 3 or more rock climbing. Let's get a look around. Okay, this is looking down, and yes, it is super steep, but there is a little trail that winds along, and there are things to stand on. So I have not lost my footing once. Oh, let's just look all over here. There you can see on the horizon. That's the east side of the gully. And, or maybe it's the south side. And this is the north side or the west side. Maybe northwest, who knows? Let's look up. Yeah. And boy, it looks like there are some alternate choices here. But let's stick to this path. Such an established path. Can't go wrong. What do you think? Okay, just came around that last corner. Came up this area. And this is what we're looking like. Or what it's looking like. What we're looking like. Yeah, it's steeper, loose rock, and now we're beginning to, at least this section, a little bit of climbing. Not too bad.
Probably gonna have to hand those poles.
Okay.
Might go over here more.
Well, that looks fun.
It does. It is. Here, Griff, you hand me my poles when you come up.
Yeah. You could go up the slab on the left, but there's not really much
To grab. It's a nice, easy little
walk over.
wash up here. Yeah, just come up. You could probably hand me both sets of poles, actually. If you want to get your poles up to here, Dave, we might be able to take them out.
Okay.
I don't know. If you want them, though.
Is there a place to use them above?
I mean, just say it's like the same stuff we've been coming up.
Oh, really? Okay. So this is just one little spot.
This is kind of the crux.
Okay, maybe we'll take the poles up.
Here, Greg, give me yours.
Okay.
And give me mine. Ugh, I don't think so.
Okay, and you just go over that and then you're back in a gully? Sort of.
Yeah. There might be another little climb.
So as you can see, some of the climbing has begun.
So the first thing, Dave, is get up to here.
Then work your way over.
One step. Go straight up and then to the right.
Okay, we came up those rocks. Scary moment. I did not film during that because I needed all my hands on the rocks. And now we're in a more gradual, if you could call it that. You can see Greg going upwards. More gradual incline right alongside the cliff wall. So we'll see what surprises lie ahead. Continuing on up. Looks like another climbing section. There's John at the top. Greg is next.
It's not. I'll go a little farther with the. Watch the rock.
Okay. Okay.
And there goes Greg. And we just came up this last stretch. You see the loose rock and the incline. Fortunately, it is not as steep right up here. Okay, and continuing on up. It's not rock climbing, but more just a loose rock slope. But oh yeah, look at that stump. It's amazing what bristle cones do. And let's swing around here. See what we've been coming up. Yeah. Hanging to the left, and then we went down the gully on the left side of that tree, not this straight gully, which probably ends in a drop off. Now you see Mount Charleston in the distance. Lots of different potential approaches, but before I do that, I want to get up this approach. Okay, onward. And it looks like we're approaching the saddle here. What that means and what's beyond the saddle, we shall find out. Wow, it has just been super steep, but after that rock section below, which I almost decided not to continue at that point, John helped me get over it. After that rock section, it's just been very steep up the gully. So it was that one brief section that had an exposure and a ledge that was the most difficult so far. Yay, we made the saddle. Okay, leveled off a little bit. We don't know what's ahead, but at least we've got a brief level area, but look at the view. There is the town of Cold Creek. And then looking over in this direction, here is Bonanza Peak. Looking at the chute or gully we just ascended, and over toward Pahrump. And then over in this direction, here's the saddle. Nice terrain up here. and beautiful. Little respite up at the saddle to rest from that relentless incline that we encountered on the way to the saddle. And here's just an idea of the terrain up here. More gentle than even the Bonanza Trail. Cairns, there's a cairn to my right. Keeping you on track. And you're definitely in bristlecone sculpture land. Okay, looking down the saddle, this last little stretch is a bit rocky, but guess what? The summit is right ahead. So once you hit the saddle, from the saddle to the summit is no problem. So we're going up to the summit together here. Whoops. Wow. Here we are at the summit. Look at this. What a view. Now, I thought there was going to be more challenge on the way to the summit, but no. Saddle was easy. I guess you could go along that catwalk ahead, but that's lower than the summit. So yeah, of course I'd do that if that was to the summit, but no, it's lower. And here we are on the summit, thanks to John and Greg. Yeah, I would have stopped. I would have stopped back at that one class 3 exposed ledge area if John and Greg hadn't nursed me over. So let's see what we can see here. There is Charleston Peak, and then you see the north rim of Kyle Canyon. Well, here's Lee Peak, north rim of Kyle Canyon, over to Mummy Mountain. There's Mummy's Summit, Mummy's Tummy, and there's the head, nose, and the chin. We were on the nose just recently. Have that video on Las Vegas area trails, and it looks like Max Peak is down in this direction. And wow, yeah, you can ascend this side of Max Peak, but wow, a lot of exposure, very steep. Now, let's see, let's look over here back to Mummy. We've got more here. Here is in the foreground, South Sister, and the saddle to North Sister. There's the North Sister, a little bit in the shadow of the clouds. And then here is Black Rock Sister. And if you look right over North Sister, there's Angel Peak. Or actually, it's right over the saddle between the two sisters. And what else do we have of note here? There's the Highway 95 Valley. We'll just call it that. And then looking over in this direction, here's Bonanza Peak. It's the high point there. Looks like there's two high points. There's a little saddle. I think it's the one on the right is the official summit of Bonanza. And then here are some mountains to explore in the future. Not even sure what those are. Do you guys know?
You're talking about right behind Bonanza is Willow Peak.
Well, what's that long ridge line?
Willow Peak's the last peak in the spring region.
Yeah, what's that long ridge line?
Oh, way over there?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we don't know what the ridge line is, but definitely it'll be identified on the map on the Las Vegas Area Trails link page to this video. So there you have it. And then right over Greg's back is Pahrump. Don't stand up, Greg.
Right behind Greg's bump.
You'll Greg's bump and then Pahrump. Okay. Yeah, so here we are. I think I'm going to join the rest stop here. Oh, by the way, here's something. There's the Bonanza Trail. Let's see if we can see that ridge that we took from the South Sister area. I think it is right down here. That's the ridge we ascended up to the Bonanza Trail. So that's pretty much where we are. We'll do one quick circuit. Without any zooming. Sometimes it helps to get the big picture. And by the way, another thing that I just noticed is you've got a good overlook from here, an overlook of that gully we ascended. I'm not sure I even want to look at it at this point. Because my mind's going to say, no, I don't want to go down that. But that's the only way down. Yeah, well, the gully's down there. So that is probably the easiest approach we took to McFarland Peak. So there you have it. McFarland Peak Summit. Okay, back on terra firma, back on the Bonanza Trail. And yeah, these pillars, just gotta catch them here in this much better lighting than we had on the way. And then, yeah, you can see Charleston Peak. Yeah, that gully on the way down from the McFarland Summit was just long, slick till you got near the bottom. Take it slow, but it was easier as far as just keeping your footing, even over the rocky section that I called Satan's Ledge. Even over that rocky section, it was easier descending. And what I've always found is that class 3 and under is a lot easier to descend than to ascend. You start getting into class 4, class 5, and then yeah, descending can be more of a problem. Okay, we'll hit more of those beautiful pillars. In fact, there you can see more right down below us. Just so beautiful. They're all around. I know I've been getting these pillars from both sides coming and going, but I just gotta say, I think that this next, I don't know, 200 feet stretch is one of the most beautiful stretches in all the Charleston forest. Yeah, just look at that. So beautiful. And now looking ahead, wow, it just keeps getting more and more incredible. So here you see Charleston Peak, Lee Peak to the left, and then over to Mummy Mountain. Just have to catch Charleston Peak in this lighting from this perspective. Amazing. Okay, got to make some tracks now. We have many miles to cover before we're back at the car. Okay, we are almost at um, the Old Mill parking area where we parked, and now we're at a little stream, and you can see John and Greg. Here's John soaking his feet. Yeah. And John's heading to Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, finding lots of hikes in that area, maybe Appalachian Trail and a number of others. So, John, this is your last hike here.
For now.
Yeah, you'll be back.
I will be back.
But any great words of wisdom from this experience and your other experiences here?
Not really. Just
Not really. This stuff is magic. Stick your feet in it because it will soothe if your feet hurt like mine do after every hike. It's like magical. It's so cold it burns. And
It's
it
like-
really it makes my feet feel better for 2 or 3 days after just like maybe 7-8 minutes in the creek. Now, this one's not quite as cold as the one on Cougar Ridge when we did the other day, but this feels great. Pine Creek is nice too when it's cold.
So we can make a holy shrine here.
Yeah, I don't know
And
if it's the minerals in the
call
water.
this miracle healing water.
I've tried ice on my feet and it doesn't work as well. Not even close. Now, ice water though, I should probably try. It might work as well. But yeah, if you want to get out here and hit some peaks, just you gotta want it. That's all I have to say. Because these are tough. This one was tough today, but it wasn't as bad as it was last time because we found we were actually blessed that the bristlecone trails were closed because we took this other route that you'll see on the video, and it was far easier.
Cut off a couple miles each way.
Yeah, it got to be at least like 3 miles total, maybe. Sure.
Yeah.
I would think.
I think so.
You know, you avoid a bunch of switchbacks, and yeah, it was great. Because after McFarland's usually just like a total beatdown. I don't feel that bad right now.
He's coming in under 11.
So John's got quite a history. He's only been climbing for about 3 years.
Yep.
He started out walking in the city just to walk sidewalks and areas in the city, and he graduated within 3 years to climbing just about every peak in the Rainbow Mountains and Charleston area and all around.
It's when I found Vegas. That's when I started to love living in Vegas. It wasn't working on the strip or being out late at night or anything. It was being out in the mountains.
Absolutely.
That's what's so hard about leaving.
Now you'll fall in love with Shenandoah Valley.
I'm sure I will.
I know from my time in Connecticut and Portland, Oregon, every area has its beauty. Upstate New York, a lot of hikes there. And here's Greg. Yeah, this has been quite a day, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that gully is no joke. Yeah.
He's talking about the gully up to McFarland Peak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How long is that thing?
Two big takeaways is, it's probably like John was saying, about 3 miles, at least 3 miles shorter, which is a huge difference on this hike. Huge difference. And we got very lucky. We had some cloud cover. Didn't quite feel as hot as I thought it was going to feel, even though it got warm a couple times, but really not too bad.
Yeah, and this is the second week in July.
Yeah.
Where the whole country is experiencing record temperatures, and the Las Vegas Valley was set for at least 116 to 120 degrees today. So we've been in 70 degrees most of the day.
Yeah.
So this is the place to be. Natural air conditioning. Okay, well, I just want to thank John and Greg for these hikes, and we'll be saying goodbye to John for the time. Appreciate all you've done.
Appreciate you guys.
Hey,
I move up to the lead actor.
I wish we would have started doing all our hikes earlier.
Lord help us. Yes, Greg has just mentioned he's going to be the leader now.
No,
So-
lead actor. Number one
You always had been the lead actor.
in the film.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so get ready. The night before, I want you to be thinking of what you're going to say during these times.
Write him a script.
Yeah, we can do that. He'll be doing an AI script.
I'm watching and grading.
I can actually I could go days without talking, but
So if it sounds a little mechanical, we might be doubting Greg's authenticity here. Okay, anyway, this is the end of an awesome day in the Mount Charleston wilderness up to the summit of McFarland Peak.